Okay, I am going to review factoring with you. Um, this review should help you complete the problems on page 331. There's a different type of problems on page 331. I will go over each type, and then after I go over each type, you are expected to complete those problems. So we're going to look at factoring quadratic expressions. To begin, I guess it's best to start with distributing or multiplying. So let's say we have a binomial 2x and we're going to multiply that by a binomial 3x minus 2. So to recall, we distribute. We take 2x times 3x and we get 6x squared. And we take 2x times negative 2 and we get minus 4x. Okay, so that's distributing or multiplying. Well, factoring is the inverse of distributing, or factoring is dividing. The inverse of multiplying is dividing. So let's say here I start with a problem, 6x squared minus 4x, and I want to factor that. So in order to factor this, I have to find what's called the greatest monomial factor, the GMF. Okay, so let's find the greatest monomial factor. To find the greatest monomial factor, I need to find a number that divides evenly into 6 and 4. And in fact, the largest number. The number that divides evenly into 6 and 4 is 2. Okay, so I've found the largest factor for 6 and 4. Now I have to look at my powers, x squared and x. The largest factor that divides evenly into x squared and x will be x. The largest power or largest factor for powers is always the power with the smallest exponent. In this case, it is x. So my greatest monomial factor is 2x. That's the largest factor that divides evenly into 6x squared and 4x. Okay, so here we go. So now that I've found my greatest monomial factor, I can start to factor. Well, I list my greatest monomial factor there. That always goes outside the parentheses. Then I'll write my parentheses, and then we divide. Okay, so I need to take 6 and divide that by 2. That gives me 3. And x squared divided by x, that gives me x. And 3 times x is 3x, equals 3x. So there's 3x there. Now I am subtracting, so I need to write minus. Okay, and then we continue to divide. 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2, and x divided by x is equal to 1. And 2 times 1 is equal to 2. Alright, so there. Excuse me, I'm done dividing. It's always a good idea to check. So 6x squared minus 4x factored is 2x times 3x minus 2. But let's check. If I distribute 2x times 3x, or multiply, I get equals 6x squared. And then 2x times a negative 2 will give me minus 4x. Okay, but that checks out because that's what I started with, 6x squared minus 4x. Okay, so the factors of 6x squared minus 4x is 6x times 3x minus 2. We have a monomial factor and a binomial factor. Binomial meaning 2 terms, monomial meaning 1. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue on with more examples. I'll go over 2 more examples and then you'll get a chance to do some work as well. So let's look at the next problem here. Let's say here I have this problem, 12x cubed and then plus 6x, and I want to factor that. So again, let's find the greatest monomial factor, the GMF. Okay, so again I ask myself, what is the largest number I can evenly divide into 6 and 12? Well, that is 6. Alright, and then I look at my powers. What's the largest power that divides evenly into x cubed and x? Well, again, if you recall, it's always a power with the smallest exponent. And there, it is equal to x. So there's my GMF, 6x. That goes outside the parentheses, and then I'll write my parentheses, and then I'll divide. Okay, so 12 divided by 6 is equal to 2, and x cubed divided by x is equal to x squared. And 2 times x squared equals 2x squared. Now see, I'm adding, so plus, and then we divide some more. 6 divided by 6 is equal to 1. X divided by x equals 1, and 1 times 1 is equal to 1. Okay, so there is factored. So again, let's just check. We should always check. 6x times 2x squared is equal to 12x cubed, and then 6x times 1 is equal to 6x. And that's what we started with, 12x cubed plus 6x. Okay, so 12x cubed plus 6x factors into two terms. One, a monomial, 6x, and the other one, it factors into a binomial, 2x squared plus 1. Right. And then finally, one more, and then you can do some problems for me. So the last problem will go like this here. So let's say I start with the problem. Here's the last example. I have 10x cubed plus 4x squared. Okay, pause the video and see if you can actually factor this, and then come back and check your work. So let's factor this. Okay, the GMF. The largest factor that goes into 10 and 4 is going to equal 2. Okay? So, 2. 2 divides evenly into 10, 2 divides evenly into 4. And then the largest factor of x cubed and x squared, again, remember, it's always the power with the smallest exponent. So that's x squared. So there's my GMF. I'll write that outside the parentheses. Okay. Now I'll write my parentheses and then I'll divide. Alright, so here we go. So 10 divided by 2 is equal to 5. And x cubed divided by x squared equals x. And 5 times x equals 5x. Okay, I have plus. And then 4 divided by 2 is equal to 2. And then x squared divided by x squared equals 1. 2 times 1 is equal to 2. So there, 10x cubed plus 4x squared factored is factored into a monomial term, 2x squared, and a binomial term, 5x plus 2. And as always, check your work by distributing. 2x squared times 5x is equal to 10x cubed, and then 2x squared times 2 is equal to 4x squared. Okay, so that's factoring. Okay, the problems that you'll have on page 331 where you'll be factoring like this, that would be problem number 1, problem number 2, and problem number 13. Okay, so do those problems, review this video, and you should have no problem.